My name is Ed.
My name is Steve.
And my name is Alex.
And joining us this week, we have first our very special guest, the translator for One Piece and Weekly Shonen Jump and Manga Plus, Stephen Paul is here.
Hey, I heard there would be riots if I did not come on to explain this chapter.
Well, it's good that you're here. Then.
Yeah, that's right. I'm here to diffuse this situation.
And we also have friend of the podcast, Ken, is joining us again this week.
Hey guys, thanks for having me back.
Ken, you were saying about when was the last time you were on the show?
Last time I was back in March. It was the last chapter before we left Egghead, so we've been gone for quite some time.
Right.
Of this March.
Yes, this past March.
Okay.
Dan, you got to listen. Dan, put it in. I know. Is this a weird start to the podcast? And everyone's like, what's Steve talking about? He sounds like a crazy person. And I am. Dan, put that conversation. It's Stinger.
All right,
called in media
Ken's
res.
Ken's a good friend. Ken's a good friend. We should.
I'm about to leave.
You stay.
All right. So on this,
And it's unfortunate. Our friend Ein, better known as or our friend Ben, better known as Ein, he can't join us today, and it's just a shame that we couldn't have like the Ben and Ken connection.
Oh,
that would be nice. But yeah, we have a manga recap. Sorry.
Yeah, something came up with Ben, so we had to back out.
Right. So we'll have a manga recap for chapter 1085, The Death of Nefeltari Cobra. And we may have an anime recap, double anime recap for episodes 1063 and 1064. And we'll also have some piece together coming up later as well. And as for the news this week, the only real news bit that I saw was the dub episode 1000 premiere that's going to be taking place at Anime Expo. This is not, it's with Anime Expo, but it's not part of the convention itself. It seems you don't need to be badged, but you just need to wait in line probably for a very long time. Steve, you're going to be at the con, but I don't think you'll be attending this.
Yeah, I'm doing Artist Alley, but it starts at 6 p.m. and that's when the convention closes. It would be a big rush, and I would love to go, but I can't make any promises.
So yeah, this is going to be at the Grammy Museum Terrace, and it's actually from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. So I wonder what they're going to be doing.
I wonder if I could show up later.
Yeah,
fashionably late.
Well, we'll see. But unless anyone else has anything they want to say before we go on to the manga recap, go ahead.
Well, there was a little bit of news, right? Didn't the live action kind of like that teaser poster come out this past week of the Going Merry?
Oh yeah, I guess we have seen that now. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's not going to be an exact replica of what we see in the manga, but I think it's a good representation so far. I mean, for poster content.
It's interesting. It is interesting seeing the reactions, I feel like, of people.
I saw other people from the live action also posting that they're starting like a press tour now. And Netflix is having an event, I believe, on June 17th coming up, where they're going to have it's kind of like their upfronts. So they're going to have something to talk about. Maybe there'll be an announcement for One Piece at that. We don't know. But keep an eye out.
All right.
But, anything else you guys want to talk about before we go on to the manga recap? It's a big chapter this week.
Big chapter.
Yeah.
Big chapter. I could hear Zach screaming all the way in Europe.
Oh
that
boy,
he can't be on tonight.
It was a real Croatian rest stop chapter.
All right. Let's move right into the manga recap then.
Let's do it.
This is the manga recap for chapter 1085, The Death of Nefeltari Cobra. And on the cover this week, we have Frankie pointing these... Frankie rooting on sea turtle hatchlings as they crawl to the water from Ringo. Request from Ringo Yama, but departure. It could have more than one meaning. We're sending Nefertari Cobra to the far shores here.
What kind of a Yu-Gi-Oh ass chapter title is this? Jonochi dies.
This would be like a.
I mean, it's not our first Death of chapter title. I mean, could you forget a little character known as Portgas D. Ace?
That's not a little character.
Oh, the donut
Arguably
guy?
a big character.
He's average size.
Yeah.
See, in some
he's
frames he looks bigger, but in some frames he looks like 3 feet taller than he normally is. But in some frames,
that's the magic of television. Yeah, you can hide things.
it's the bigger Luke theory, if y'all like. Do that.
Okay.
Frankie's sitting on top of a crab, it seems here.
Yeah, he kicked
Yeah, it's
Crab's
like
ass.
Upside down.
Oh yeah, it's an upside down crab. Yeah.
It's a giant enemy crab.
Yeah.
He's saving the turtles.
Yeah.
If you ever want to see one of the most depressing aspects of life on this earth, watch the birth of baby sea turtles, and how they're just born into a world of
Carnage.
and death, and it's like opposite D-Day.
Oh my god.
These turtles are like straight out of Finding Nemo too.
Yeah, it's Departure
Yep.
Day.
Yeah, they all got the, they got the eyes.
It's your BD day. But thank you very much, for having one of our main characters preserve life and disrupt the circle of life. Thank you so much, Ringo Yama. I hung it on me wall.
I hung it on me wall.
No more fan mail, please.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
All right. Shall we begin? All right. Here we go.
Yes.
All right. So we pick up right where we left off last chapter, and Cobra is saying, "No one is meant to sit upon that throne. It is not meant for one person's will to sway the entire world." As we get the long shot from sort of behind the wheelchair, looking up at the supposedly empty throne. And Emu begins. "There are two things I wish to say, and one thing to ask of thee, Cobra." And Cobra gets up out of his chair. He tries to get out of his chair, and he says, Who are you?" "I know the name Emu already, but it must be a coincidence. Among the first 20, do not seek the answer. I will not provide it. But I can tell thee what thou wish to know. D is the name of those who once opposed us. Those who bubble up from every corner of the world bearing the D are nothing but empty husks, ignorant of the meaning of their name. However, this recent development has its roots in Queen Lily's great mistake of 800 years ago." "Mistake?" Cobra says. "As does the curiosity of the scholars rummaging after the Void Century." So Cobra and Emu are just having this very tense conversation while the elders stand around sort of impassively, not really doing anything yet.
Yeah, I love the like the procession of perspectives that we get. Down down low.
The
Under
one on
the,
on the left panel.
Yeah. It's like you start, way down low near the floor, looking upward, and then from this overhead kind of three-quarter angle.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I truly wonder how big Emu is, because I know this is a lot of forced perspective here, but
Yeah, huge in that panel on the left there.
I feel like it's One Piece. They got to be huge.
Yeah, the older you get, the huger you get. So.
Yeah,
they just don't
800
stop
years.
Same
growing.
thing happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andre the Giant had the same thing. I wonder what he's up to these days.
I wonder how loudly they're speaking. Like, can Emu hear him from down there? Is Emu shouting down?
Okay, Ken, don't get all cinema sins on us here.
Oh my god!
No, I'm just saying. How I'll watch a movie and characters are talking on top of a running train, and I'm like,
How?
yeah, I think the one piece of media that ever truly called this out was Venture Brothers, Professor Impossible, and his ship of 4 convertible seats and just having a casual conversation, and
It's all over intercom or whatever. Ken, get the next page.
All right, Emu continues their speech. As does the spate of pirates seeking the poneglyphs for treasure. If not for Lily's mistake on that fateful day, the loathsome relics called the poneglyphs would not have been scattered across the world. And we see Imu just standing menacingly with the world map and all the poneglyphs scattered behind them. And Cobra looks up in shock, and Imu continues. And this unfortunate event of the past has one disastrous potential explanation. Was the liberation of the poneglyphs actually a simple mistake? Or was it planned? And Cobra again, looking all concerned. And then we get a panel here of all 5 of the elders readying their guns, pulling out like guns from their jackets and whatnot, except the middle one who readies his sword, which is a really nice touch, actually.
Mm. I mean, how could the poneglyphs how could that be a mistake? Like, oops, all these giant heavy rocks all over the world. I didn't mean to. It just happened.
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
It definitely begs the question of like what is the nature of this mistake that we're talking about, and it's intentionally kept very vague.
Yeah, there's a lot of like with the poneglyphs. We can not get into it now, but like with the poneglyphs, if they were all made in Wano, like the fact that they left Wano and were scattered just puts more confusion on that. But Imu continues on the next page. The answer to that question must be found within Lily's letter sent to Alabasta. But I have only heard thee speak of Queen Lily of the Nefeltari dynasty. Why do you hide it from Mu? Tell Mu the proper name of the sender. And it zooms in on Cobra, and he's thinking to himself. Well, that settles it. Go ahead.
I just like Emu as Miss Piggy, just like, tell it to moi.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't want to cut Ken off. I wanted to let them finish, but I'm just because now it's like moo. Like it's a new proper noun that's been introduced, and it's not emu, but it's it almost sounds like a typo. It's like, why do you hide it from moo?
I think Joey had a thing about this. He tweeted earlier today.
What did he?
Yeah, so this is a let's see, the moo. It says the vocal tick calls to mind the legendary lost continent of Mu, a myth similar to Atlantis that is popular in Japan. It's the namesake of a long-running paranormal magazine in Japan.
Oh.
Yeah, so this was a Emu has or uses 2 new like unique sort of invented pronouns. There's a first person pronoun, and there's also a second person pronoun that I did not use, and so. Yeah, so Emu says moo. It's like an elongated like moo with a extra vowel sound, and that's like their version of I or me, and so yeah, it's interesting. So this is one of those things where I had a really kind of tough decision, which is that Oda only uses it like once or twice in this chapter because this is one of those things that's like just with the way Japanese works, like most of the time people don't use the first person pronoun. Like you in English you pretty much have to say I whenever you're talking about yourself, I or me, but in Japanese it's not quite as necessary in order to like make a complete sentence or whatever, and so it doesn't hit you over the head with it. And this is the first issue is that if I use emu or mu every time Emu uses a first person pronoun, it's immediately going to sound like a third person pronoun. Like it's going to sound like you're like a little kid who says your name before every sentence, which is like a super childish thing in Japanese. And so I didn't want to do that, obviously. And it felt kind of out of place. And then I was like, well, actually, wait, what if I just replaced me with mu? Because that way it slips in kind of like very naturally, like you almost might miss it if you didn't see it. And that way, like, because me is a less frequent word than I, it won't beat you over the head with it. And so that was kind of like the way that I handled that. There's also another one, the second person pronoun when Emu refers to Cobra, that is Nushia. And that's a word that, like, if you put it in English, doesn't make any, like, you're like, what is Nushia? What does that mean? But Nushi, the word Nushi or Onushi is kind of an archaic second person pronoun in Japanese. Like it means you. And I'm sure, like I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm sure there were at least a few characters like in Wano that would refer to, another person as onushi or nushi. And so that, when it's nushiya, it's like, okay, well, I don't know what this, I've never seen this word before, but to a Japanese reader, it's like, oh, this very clearly is like a sort of derivation of that. So it's supposed to sound really ancient and really old and unique to Imu. And I was like, okay, well, I can't use Nusha because that's not gonna, they're just going to assume that Imu is calling Cobra a new name or something. It just sounds like a completely invented word. And so to get around that, basically, that's when I made the decision to do all the these and thous, and just kind of lean a little heavier on the Shakespeare side of stuff. And so that's kind of where some of this stuff comes from. The end result basically is that Imu comes across as sounding very, very old, very archaic, like in a way that we haven't seen before in the series. And that's obviously very important, I think, for all of the theory crafting and all of the possible answers for, what's going on with this character. So I wanted to make sure that I, found some way to represent that stuff.
They're old, but not in the sense that old, like an old living person, like a person from many eras ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like you still have to balance it too, because if you try to think about like what did the English language sound like 800 years ago, it would be almost incomprehensible to most people. So you do have to to make things legible in some way.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Can you get a little more?
We're not done yet.
To go there. Yeah.
Who's ready to ruin it? I am. I'll take the moo. It's okay. You guys don't have to laugh. You can be honest.
It's just it's a funny sounding word no matter which way you slice it. Like I saw moo-moos, meemaws, like all sorts of
Meemaw is coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Moo-moo's coming.
Zach's not here this week, so you guys are being extra nice to me, because if Zach was here, he would have said, "I'm very mad at Moo." The evil Moo. That's right. Monsters rule. Monster Rancher.
All work and moo play makes moo.
Let's just say moo.
It's a cow's opinion. Yeah. It's moo.
Ken, you had a couple panels left.
Yeah.
Did the Simpsons reference Scouter break yet?
All right. Continuing on, Cobra is sitting in his chair, kind of just accepting the situation at this point, and he's thinking to himself, well, that settles it. Clearly, I will not be allowed to leave the room.
Oh, did the guns tick you off?
He's like, now I'm putting the pieces together.
Yeah. It's like, it's clear now that I will not be allowed to leave the room. I will think about how I'm not allowed to leave the room as I slowly back away towards the door, but still maintaining a conversation for yeah.
Well, no, let me go on for a second, because he says this, and then if I told you a lie, would I escape the blow? And then the mustache elder is like, the moment you saw Great Emu, your fate was sealed. And he's like, oh, right, I'm doubly dead now. I suppose it was this. This is the greatest taboo in the world.
We've been calling him Gorbachev, but it's actually Wilford Brimley.
Yeah, that was a good mustache voice. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
And on the next page, we see suddenly. I guess it was a good thing that we got that scene in the. I guess it was the last chapter, right, where the guards were talking about how like they just keep losing more guards, because that's the only way you can explain like just Sabo is just chilling here. Like there's no security in this chamber. He's just hanging out, listening in. He's going, what's going on in there? Something's very wrong. And he hears Cobra answering the question here. The letter was signed by the Queen of Alabasta 800 years ago, and her name was Nefeltari D. Lily.
Oh.
She was delightful. And yeah, Emu. It's interesting that there's like two panels here for Emu, that Emu like basically registers it in one and then repeats D. And then suddenly, there's a very strange, very iconic mouse cursor looking, perhaps a tail, perhaps an arrow of some kind, that is all black, that comes shooting from the side towards Cobra and pierces him through the torso, it looks like, and basically knocks him out of his chair. And he collapses to the ground, and immediately from the background, Sabo comes shooting into the picture on flame with his fire powers. And the one of the five elders notices him, and he immediately does a fire fist, and a very cool effect here where the flame is between the foreground and the five elders in the background, so they appear as these kind of these burn silhouettes, basically, as they hold up their hands to block against the heat. And Cobra is, I guess, safely on Sabo's side of the fire. And the fire effect continues as it seems like Sabo is, I guess it's not Sabo who is shooting up here, but he is kind of launching somewhat of a lance of flame up at Emu.
Mm-hmm. This one was, this one took me like a second glance to kind of realize what was going on.
It's hard to tell that they're. It looks like it's not necessarily Emu's hands, but they kind of look like mittens.
On Emu's hands?
Well, and like the next panel, they put their hands up to catch it. Hey.
No, I think those are That's like a mouth. Those are teeth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's like
that's
confusing
confusing.
down, like a big dragon head almost looks like.
Okay. Huh.
Yes, and so Sabo's attack here is rook check, which is actually it's a shogi term that refers to taking a rook to put the king in check. So that's kind
That's
of
clever.
appropriate for his attempt here. And again, we get a little 2-panel sequence of Emu reacting first, kind of blank, and then suddenly very menacing. The eyes narrow, or the eye, I should say, narrows as Emu says, "Where did thou come from?" And then we see the aforementioned reaction again, still in this silhouette form of what this is. It is Emu because you can see the eye on the top, but yes, it looks like a big sort of cartoon mouth that's just all jagged teeth that chomps down on the flame attack.
That makes so much more sense now. I had a hard time parsing that one.
On the next page, we sort of see what perhaps had chomped up the flame in the form of several great shadows. This took me a while to kind of figure out what they were. At first, I thought that maybe Emu had like spirits attached to them or something like that. But no, these I believe are in fact obscured silhouettes of the 5 Elder Stars' devil fruit powers. Mm-hmm. And I think the one coming from the top, this giant gurg looking one, is what chomped the flame away. So from right to left, you can sort of see a tusked creature here.
That's got to be. I know my elephants.
Yeah.
I know the way Oda draws elephants. That's an elephant.
Yeah.
That's an Indian elephant.
So the bird might be a phoenix, maybe, or something like that.
Sorry, not to cut Alex off as he described all these. I just see elephant, and I'm like, elephant. Got to be an elephant.
Could be an elephant or maybe a warthog.
I don't think the one on top is actually Emu. I think that's another one because I think these are the 5.
No,
elders.
no. The one on top is not an elder. The one on top is an elder. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Because the one that chomped
protected-
the fire was Emu because that has Emu's eye in the last panel, and this one does not have Emu's eye.
Oh yeah. I didn't even see the eye. That's crazy. Yeah. So from right to left, the bird. I believe Sam in the Discord said it looked kind of like a Garuda, which makes sense since that's like a mythological, powerful bird. Whatever we have going up there, some sort of there's 2 humanoid looking ones, and then
Yeah.
something that looks like something with horns, a bull or a
Minotaur.
Yeah, but if the second, like the more human shaped or human sized looking one with the kind of like flowing sash sort of thing, that could be another like sort of mythological deity type figure, because that's the same
Yeah.
sort of I don't know if it's
Holy
Buddhist
scarf.
Yeah, it's that floating sash kind of motif that you see in a lot of like Buddhist and other East Asian art.
Yeah, when not to get too far ahead, but in the panel over on the next page, you see, them sort of a little less obscured, I guess. But it looks like the bird has that as well. Like two of them have the scarf-looking thing, at least. So very interesting. Anyways, yes, we see these obscured devil fruit visages. And then we see, picture of a perfect murder. Sabo standing in front of King Cobra.
It begs the question of who
bloody.
took the picture. Who took the picture? We'll get there. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, we will. So Sabo stands there looking cool. He says, I would have liked to take you all down right here. Alas, to think there was such a diabolical truth at the pinnacle of the world. Cobra's not having a good time. Yeah. Oh, crap. I shouldn't have said that I was trying to
Nefeltari
take you down.
Lily.
Jesus.
Oh crap!
Sabo walks in the room. I'm so terribly sorry. I saw everything.
I saw everything. Oh, it's a donkey. There's that thing is in the background. Gorbachev puts teacups on his nipples. But yes, we do see a click from a snail, snail bug, fucking dented mushi.
Transponder snail.
Thank you, transponder snail. And it clicks a picture of it's basically the photo of Sabo on the front page of the World Economic Journal.
I like that he put that in there just so you know, like, oh yes, that's exactly where that came from.
Yeah, very cool, very cool.
Damn paparazzo.
Yeah. So Cobra coughs and he says, "You're Luffy's brother. You would save me despite being a revolutionary." And Sabo gives some illumination on the whole situation here. He says, "Our real enemies aren't the kings. It's those guys above you. How do you know Luffy though?" And of course, Cobra says, "He saved my life." And Sabo says, "Sounds like Luffy." And without a moment's notice, he grabs Cobra and hightails it out of there, and we see this panel, this really scary-looking panel of the five elders and Emu both sort of giving chase. And he's on Sabo's back. Cobra says, "You can escape on your own. It's too late for me. Put me down." Sabo says, "No, I'm saving you." And Cobra goes on to say, "I've realized something today. You must not die here. Send a message to Luffy and Vivi." And Sabo says, "Luffy and Princess Vivi?" So yeah, Sabo doesn't read the manga. He doesn't.
Oh, he sure doesn't.
He doesn't know Luffy's relation to Vivi at this point. Of course, it could be more than just crewmates now.
I mean, if Sabo read the manga, he would have been at Marineford. I mean, God.
No. He would have had amnesia. He's like, "Oh, who's this Ace guy that's getting?"
No. If Sabo read the manga, he would have existed before Ace died.
That's true. Yeah, it'd be a real Mr. Rental type situation.
Can I be that asshole for a moment? It's like, oh, I like the story, but like I like the idea of Sabo saving Ace better. I'm like, okay, Sabo wasn't a character until Ace muttered the name Sabo right before he died.
Yep.
That would have been really contrived to be like, "Who are you?" And be like, "I am Sabo. I'm the third brother."
But Steve, Ace's tattoo, the signs were there all along.
It was his name, Mr. Steve.
He was no. God.
I like my previous theory better of the tattoo artist was bad and
Just
fucked
cross
up.
it out.
Yeah.
Yep. And on the next page, this was the page where I had to do so much dancing to not be absolutely filthy. Where Cobra says, "Tell them that we also bear the D." And Sabo's like, "Huh?" And Cobra continues, "At last, I see a way forward for Alabasta." And Sabo is reacting to this D news as he thinks back to a conversation that the three of them had as kids, where he is wondering, is it a fluke? You guys both have a D in your name. And Luffy's like, oh, you're right. And Ace says, well, I don't care what my name is. You want a D, Sabo? Which originally it was more like, do you want my D, Sabo? And it's like, oh, no, can't do that.
I won't be needing it after today.
He's like,
You're young.
And then he offers Sabo the D, Sa-D-Bo.
Sad boy.
Yeah, sad boy. Yeah.
Sad boy.
Sad boy hours.
And he's like, that's not where it goes. And they're laughing it up. Yeah, again, the D doesn't go inside, Sabo.
Sadibo, isn't that the name of the archipelago where they went to Fishman Island from?
It's a fat, balding North American ape.
Oh, yes. Oh,
All right.
God.
So
Yeah, Steven won Scrabble.
as Sabo is reflecting on this little bit of his past, suddenly there's that arrow, that tail, a devil's tail perhaps, that comes swooshing towards them, and it once again pierces right through. And this time it does seem to get both of them, because Sabo is his eyes are whited out. That's a sign of big pain. And
This this tail arrow, this is the one that belongs to Saturn, right? This is the creature that Saturn turned into.
Could be Emu.
I mean, it could be anyone. I just assumed it was Emu because that
I thought so
mouth.
too.
Had the
but
mouth
it-
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Oh shit! Is Emu a
back
dragon? Like a medieval dragon?
could be. Back
could be
when Cobra's getting attacked earlier on by the same arrow, Saturn's the one all the way to the side where the arrow would be coming from. And then when the elders transform, they kind of line up with what they transformed with. And this one is the one, again, with the arrow at the same exact. So I wonder if one of the elders did it first without Emu's command. I could be wrong. Sorry.
No, that's definitely possible. I mean, yeah, there's so much that is like intentionally mysterious about this that there are lots of possibilities.
Yeah.
And I do feel like the Oda is being very intentionally kind of impressionistic about the whole thing, which we can get into later. But yes, basically the attack comes again, and it knocks them down. Cobra goes sprawling out onto the floor, and Sabo's like, "King Cobra!" And one of the shadow figures growls and opens its mouth as Cobra stands. He with his great, clearly a great force of will, gets to his feet, and we see here as is quoted, so we know that this is a continuation or the body of the message from Queen Lily, Nefertari D. Lily, and he says the poneglyphs he starts to say must be protected, and he's kind of cut off by a very unnaturally placed growling that covers. Of course, if you're reading this in Japanese, it basically goes over the second part of the first bubble and then the first part of the second bubble and then continues from there. But because we are writing in a horizontal text here, that it definitely requires some artificial placement. And he continues, bear the flag of the dawn against the something world. We don't know what this description or this word is that is describing the world. And he finishes, Nefertari D. Lily. And then he finally says, I'm counting on you, Sabo. And that is it's shown in the sort of like flashback or voiceover bubble style, so we can kind of tell that we are sort of transitioning out of the flashback here. So yeah, this is a very tricky thing, and unfortunately, I kind of wish that I had been able to like give some extra feedback after seeing the way, because I think the way that the text was outlined could have been done with a little more information, or something that was not obscuring quite as much. But you will notice that I did actually kind of break a law of typography here, which is that the broken word, that something ing world, that I put the dash there on the second line, which is not where it goes. It's supposed to go at the end of the first line. When you break a word over 2 lines. But I was like, okay, well, this is the only way to like do this so that it fits over the this obscuring growl sound. And so yeah, all we know is that she tells them basically the poneglyphs must be protected, bear the flag of the dawn against something world. So it could be something like, the dying world, the encroaching world, the impending world, the darkening world. There are lots of different possible verbs that could go in there, or adjectives that could go in there. And so that was kind of me banking on being able to modify whatever it turns out to be into a blank ing word.
And that first bubble, that is, he's saying protected at the end there?
Protected, yeah.
Okay.
I wish, again, I was like, oh, I don't know if anybody's going to get that, but
I thought he was saying collected. I thought the poneglyphs had to be collected.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's, that it's not that far off, right?
It really isn't, yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, a very, very tricky thing here. Maybe I'll have to be a little picky about making instructions when we go to the graphic novel eventually, but we'll see.
Okay, so we hear the scream, "King Cobra!"
Dun 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 dun.
Oh, I had no idea you were doing that at first. I almost thought, like, are you doing the opening song from G.I. Joe the movie?
No.
Cobra!
It's hard for me to go first. I don't know. Anyway, because he's a snake.
Yeah. I
such a-
just want to add, if Sabo did interfere at Marineford, you would hear the voice of Colonel Campbell yell, "You created a time paradox!"
So we hear Cobra says, "You must survive," and then there's dots from the wall, and one of the this is the humanoid, the humanoid shadow figure. It says it kind of looks like Venom or Candlejack a little bit.
Oh my God.
The eyes.
Don't say his name.
I gotta get some more rope. Who's there? We close in on a terrified looking eye with some metal around it, and next panel, he backing away very quickly, very far from the wall. He says, "He got whacked. I can't believe it. Cobra's dead. I hated the guy, but I ain't so low that I'd celebrate it. I just had to see that, didn't I? I just had to learn the truth of the darkness in the government. I didn't want to know. Who was that? My life is over."
Up. They spotted me.
And this character is?
That's Waffle. Possibly also the person who took the picture that ended up on the front cover of the newspaper.
Oh, I didn't even get that.
I mean,
No.
No?
I think well, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
he did
because he
call
does.
Morgan saying he had a big scoop. So
Right.
That is
and he ended up
true.
with Morgan's.
Yeah.
That's why, yeah. So it could be.
I guess I just assumed that the snail was. I mean, the snail that took the picture is under like the elder. So maybe they were like, oh, we want to push this narrative that Sabo
That's true.
killed, Cobra. So we will leak that picture to the press.
that makes
or something.
sense.
Perhaps, yeah.
But yeah.
But while he freaks out, meanwhile, in the round table council room, it says Seems King Cobra and King Wapol are late. I've just gotten word that they wish us to proceed without them. I suppose Cobra's impassioned speech left him tuckered out. And they all have a good laugh at him. And, well, he must be satisfied with the ruling on the 7 warlords. Let's finish up the rest of our itinerary, while Riku and Neptune look on pensively. So, continuing with the business of the meeting, it says, as for the independence of the 4-nation alliance in the North Blue, doesn't actually matter. But the
more nations declaring independence.
Yes. So Fukaboshi says to Shirahoshi, the meetings will soon be finished. Let's go and wait at the Red Port, where those fools won't come after you. We hear, what's the matter? It's like, I guess that's the other brother saying that.
Yeah.
Asking what's the matter.
It's Mamboshi.
Yeah. I wish to say my goodbyes to Princess Phoebe before we leave. Where could she have gone? Next page.
Okay. So when we see our Princess Phoebe here, and says, "What do you think you're doing, kidnapping me? Untie these ropes. Who ordered this?" And I'll tell the entire world about what's happened here. And we're in the guest room in the how was it, Pangaea?
Pangaea. Pangaea. I think Pangaea is the usual.
Pangaea. Yeah. Pangaea Castle. Okay, in Pangaea Castle, and we see familiar faces. Not XCP9, but new XCP9, CP0. It's Jabra and Khalifa. Yeah, I'll save that. I saved that somehow. And we're reintroduced to Jabra and Khalifa here. And if you had not seen One Piece Film Red, this is news to you that everyone got a promotion. Everyone got the Christmas bonus where they got promoted to CP0. But yeah, Khalifa's here, and pretty much her same outfit, but white with an overcoat. And we have Jabra here, similar, all white here. And looks like he stole the font from Moe's Mexican Grill.
I think you mean Moo's Mexican Grill.
Oh, it's Habra. Okay.
Welcome to Moose.
Habra.
Cabra Peños.
That's why his tongue is sticking out. Too spicy.
I think with the CP0 uniforms, I think it's really funny they went from black to stark white, as if like when they were in CP9, they were black just because of all the blood that soaked what was once white suits from killing people. But now that they're, in charge of protecting celestial dragons, it's just like, oh yeah, we don't get them dirty anymore. That's just how it is.
I think also, Alex, they have laundry on site there.
Oh yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice.
In Marijoa. Anyway, the dialogue here is... They get the good stuff there. Anyway, we have Jabra here saying, like, "You're too honest for your own good. What kidnapper is going to let you go after a threat like that, headstrong woman?" And we have Khalifa here saying, "I don't think you're getting out of this one, princess. You'll go down as missing and end up as someone's pet."
And Bluno's there too.
And Bluno.
On the bar.
Bluno in the background.
And this
Bluno from the background.
Yeah. And in the next panel, we see a wider shot, and Bluno, Fukuro, and I got this. Bluno, Fukuro, and the one I always forget, Kumadori.
Yes.
Kumadori?
How
Kumadori.
could you forget?
I kind of forget his name the most, to be honest with you. And they're in the back, I don't know, playing cards or something. And then Princess Vivi turns to Emperor Palpatine and says, "Where is Shirahoshi? Is she safe?" And I think this is Jabra saying, like, "Huh? You're worried about someone else right now?" And could still be Jabra saying, "Sounds like another incident happened earlier. But long story short, she's fine." And Vivi lets out a big sigh and says, "I'm glad to hear it." And Jabra continues, "The guys who walloped that celestial dragon trying to abduct the mermaid princess were followers of named themselves Loud and Proud. Now the square is in absolute uproar. We get flashback, and and loud and proud, Sai and Leo say, "We're followers of Straw Hat Luffy. We're here. We're
Go on.
Pirates.
pirates."
Get used to it.
We don't want any more dragons.
And then I think this is new information. Am I
Yes.
wrong?
No, this is new.
Yes. Over in the land of the gods, Fujitora helped the Revolutionary Army free the slaves. And Ryokugyu snapped and turned on him because he's a piece of shit. Like
Wow.
brittle turd. But this is crazy. Especially, I just want to talk about how I kind of been disenchanted with Fujitora because I felt like he's really kind of been doing as he's told, even though we haven't seen too much of him.
Well, since Dressrosa, he was told he couldn't
Yeah.
go back to any Navy base unless he brought Luffy in. So I guess this
right.
is him just like, well, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, it's like. And I was also going to say, it feels like he hasn't done anything good in a while, and I got to remember the end of Dressrosa was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, when you said brittle, I thought you said little brittle. Little brittle, you're so cool.
Extremely based Fujitora here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
yeah. And the
What a cool
land
guy.
of the gods too, like really, pissing in their eyes. It's great.
You can't see.
Graphic.
I'm just saying, should I said pee in their cereal instead? I don't know.
It's impressive aim for a blind man.
Yeah.
Just had to feel it out. Anyway,
Is that a
yeah, and then
joke?
Jabba said,
As well.
no comment. Anyway, Jabba says, this referee's been something else, man.
Just
And
totally
his problem.
reclined, arms, hands behind his head, legs, perfect relaxation.
And Vivi sits there pensively, says, I need to do something. Be someone's pet over my dead body. And then we hear a kaboom, and we hear loud noises banging against the brick wall of this guest room here.
Yes.
Who could it be?
So you hear kaboom, boom, kapow, and then here comes Wapol saying, oh, must have been that bean I had.
I was going to say, who ordered the Wapolade here? Help me!
This is everybody, this is a Wapol house.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, sir, this is a Wapol house. This is an amazing panel of Wapol who looks humongous, just chomping through every single wall in Pangaea Castle, trying to just get the fuck out of there. He goes, help me! I didn't see nothing! Even Jabra's surprised that somebody burst through the wall. And Vivi sort of, her chair sort of knocked out in midair, and she says, Wapol, and he goes, out of my way! I'm Emily Dickinson. Or I'm Angie Dickinson, right? That's how it goes. This gives Vivi an idea. She goes, that's it. And we do see, in fact, that Wapol has chewed his way through many, many walls. And he says, clear the way, I ain't getting caught. And we just see the members of CP0 just stymie, just standing there.
Choppa.
Choppa. Fukuro has a line of dialogue. Hooray. Bluna says, what was that? Jabra says, King Wapol, right? And then they say, wait a sec! Vivi's gone! What the? Yeah. And uh-oh!
Spaghetti.
Wapol continues to run. And there's his wife, Kinderella, who says, oh, honey poo, I've been looking for you. Where have you been? And who is that young woman with you? And we see exactly what's happening here as Wapol is sort of running towards the panel, the front of the camera, really. And he says, And it's Wapol is running, and Vivi is in his mouth. She's escaped pretty successfly. She just sort of jumped in his mouth. She says, "Wapol, where are you going?" And he says, "As far as I freaking can. I'm going to the ends of the earth where no one can follow."
We're going to Mexico.
The happiest place on earth.
Yep. And then Vivi says, "I'll go too. Take me with you." And Cinderella has a wonderful... We end the entire chapter, this dire, serious chapter, with a wonderful gag panel of Cinderella slack-jawed, thinking, "They're eloping?"
I laughed so hard at that. It's
what a great way
joke.
to end this chapter. I'm completely bowled over. Like, this is... It goes to show you what kind of comic this is. Absolutely fantastic.
And it doesn't say it'll be back next week, so we don't know when it'll be back.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it'll be next week.
It is back next
a,
week?
It's a 7
okay.
days, yeah.
Good. Okay.
Oh no, it's the ring.
All right. Who wants to start off with their thoughts about the chapter? Ken?
Yeah, sure. This was a phenomenal chapter. The emu stuff in particular, like, alone, I feel like you could talk about that for days on end. There was lots of discussion online. I saw people like debating, like, are these elders using devil fruit powers? Are these all extensions of emu? Is it like a shadow power? Is it an ink power? I saw lots of like guessing. I'm pretty sure that it's all just Oda trying to like, keep the reveals from happening right now, because I think revealing all 5 of their powers and Emu's power would be too much for an already overstuffed chapter. But it was phenomenal. I'm excited to debate what these silhouettes really are and if they match up to what we see later down the line. And if we get back to Egghead soon, like, I'm pretty sure we'll see, like, I think this is Oda's way of like, okay, look, they have powers, and we know that Saturn's on their way to Egghead, so I'm sure if he gets to Egghead and has to fight, we'll see one of these silhouettes in full action, and I think that's what it's kind of building up to. The big revelation that Vivi and the whole family are part of the D family, phenomenal reveal. I don't think it hit me the way I think that it's supposed to hit me. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, I feel like everyone's a D nowadays.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, that's just going par for the course. Yeah, I don't want to cover literally everything, but it was a phenomenal chapter, and ending with Wapol, I think, is like the best like palate cleanser after such a serious lore dump in the beginning. It's like, all right, here's this hilarious moment at the end with Wapol. That's about it.
Ed?
Sorry, I was muted there. Steven, would you like to go next?
Sure. Yeah, it's absolutely, kind of mind-boggling. It was funny too, because I think after the last chapter, obviously this is coming after a break, and I was definitely, I think, talking about, we don't know where it's going to start up from, and he could just send us right back to Egghead, like first page, but he makes it very clear that we are not missing it. You could take out the chapter, the cover page, and it would go seamlessly from the previous chapter. So it was nice to see Oda not kind of pulling the rug out from under us. We got just a really meaty scene here with Cobra and Emu. And it's one of those things where like it kind of feels on the one hand like there wasn't a lot that was actually revealed. I mean, the D reveal is interesting. I do agree with Ken that it's like it's something that you've seen pop up so many times that it kind of feels a little bit like underwhelming, I guess, when it's like, oh, this other character is actually a D, or like we bear the D as well.
Right, but when you think about it being a member of the original 20 Kings, who was a member of the D, who was, that's just allegedly who they were fighting against. So how does that work? Was there a mole? Was their organization betrayed? And that's why the poneglyphs exist in the first place.
Right. I mean, I think it's clear at this point that like there have been so many different people and different types of people that like if it was ever a question of are the D's all like related by blood, I feel like at this point we can easily toss that out just because, with like Saul and just all these different people that don't seem to have anything in common. It does seem more like I think Greg may refer to it as a Spartacus type of thing, where you can just pretty much stand up and say it's like a shibboleth or something. It's one of those things where like if you know, and these are the people who have the D, and even if their descendants don't realize what it stands for, that history is in their family tree somewhere of having been aligned with whatever perhaps the ideals of this counter force to what is now the world government. So yeah, I kind of want to go back because I haven't done this, but I kind of want to go back and see. I don't remember if there was a scene in Alabasta where like Cobra like has a reaction to Luffy's name, where if he gives away that like, oh, Monkey D Luffy, huh? I don't remember if he does that or not. But
well, we mentioned last chapter that he only since he's been sick, he's been in the library reading all this stuff from the.
Yeah, that is true.
I wonder how long he's actually known.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because he didn't seem to. It is a recent story development that he specifically wanted to ask some questions here at this reverie. Yeah. So yeah, this is clearly what he was referring to. I don't know what to make of the the shadowy figures. I feel like there's a part of me that kind of feels, just because of the abstract way that Oda did it, that it is just an impressionistic sort of, I guess, a cloaking device, a story device to obfuscate. He could, there could be some kind of shadow power, or it could just be artistic license to not show us and just to kind of give us these amorphous, kind of spooky looking figures. But the fact that he is consistent enough about like the specific shapes, like the kind of animalistic shapes that you can identify the same ones from panel to panel. That seems to suggest to me that these are going to be some kind of transformative power. So probably devil fruit, but you can't say for sure yet. It could be that Imu has some kind of transformational power that is being cast upon them basically, and maybe they themselves don't have these powers innately. I don't know. But that stuff is interesting. And obviously, yes, the Wapol scene is great. And I think the thing that I really liked about it, or that really hit me, is that we knew Vivi and Wapol escaped together because we saw them at, Big Morgan's place. But the fact that it is specifically is that Wapol, like whether he realized it or not, that he rescued her, is such a fascinating bookend to the fact that their previous interaction was that he famously slapped her at the reverie when she was a child. And now to have him, basically fleeing for his life and then inadvertently saving her as well, I think is just such a fantastic way to loop back around to that. I think that's just so great for both of their characters, and it's one of those things that like only Oda can do, and it really feels like this last dozen chapters or so, like he's been doing something like this in just about every chapter, which is just so rich and great to see. That's about all I have to say.
Wapol is he's becoming more and more like Buggy in that he is obviously integral to the story, and he's this ridiculous character. But we have to he has to keep finding ways to insert himself. Yeah.
Do you think he was meaning to eavesdrop on the conversation? Like, how did he find that hole in the wall? Like, do you think that was there, or did he think he
I bet he saw that Cobra was going to talk to the five elders, and he was like, "What's Cobra doing talking to those guys?" I want to hear, that
He
kind
munched
of.
a little hole in the wall.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, actually, that's a good idea. I was going to make the joke of, again, like really bad informational security here, just giant holes to spy through. But yeah,
Or
if
He's a peeping Tom.
Yeah.
Or it's a glory hole that leads into the main throne room.
No, it's like it's like the Death Star, and they forgot to cover the one hole in the wall.
yeah.
Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, great chapter. Great stuff. So I don't think at this point now, like, this was sort of a turning point for me when it came to the D stuff. When a character is revealed to have the D in their name, like Steven said, it sort of puts the kibosh on this being like a actual blood family thing and more of a title that had been bestowed upon them. I think I mentioned in the Discord that it could be like a scarlet letter that was anybody who was against the government equivalent back then. They were branded with this D for some reason.
So it makes you wonder if Lily was the first D or adopted the D as part of the rebellion against the world government founders.
Maybe, yeah, that could be it. Either way, now the D thing isn't. It's not a ho hum thing for me. It's more of a this is interesting to see. What your lineage what your lineage says about like your ancestors, kind of thing. Not as far as like all these people are related, but like so like this is it's sort of interesting that those who bear the name D now are sort of involved in this like uprising. When you think of Saul, when you think of Law, when you think of Rouge, she gets involved with another D, Roger. So it's very interesting. I don't know. Like the pieces are slowly coming together, and I think it's a really cool thing.
It's like, I mean, I think Oda has to be careful, and I'm sure he's like thinking about this of like that you don't want to necessarily have the D be like a clan of special. It kind of morphs what the story might be about, where it's like, these are the chosen people, and it's less about ideas and it's more about heritage or your the blood that runs in your veins or something like that. And I do feel like that's antithetical to what he does in this story. Yeah,
I do think that now the D thing is less special in that regard. Like, it's not like something like Conqueror's Haki where it's a symbol of power or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's more of a like, this is the type of person that you are in this world. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with like how special you are. I guess. It's
it is an inherited will. It's inherited will of the people who fought against the founding of the world government.
It always comes back to inherited will now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I do think that it's really interesting that this is sort of like Reverie Arc 2 in the middle of Egghead. Like it's like this should be part of the Reverie Arc, but it's weird because it's inserted within another arc. I think it's kind of interesting in that way.
Mm-hmm. I think, well, and not that I hear this too much, but if anyone was complaining, it's like, we've been away from Egghead for so long. Why we focus on this? And I'm like, I don't know.
Better.
This is better. I kind of like.
Normally, I wouldn't say that about non-Straw Hat content. You know me. But,
but this
is different.
Well, this is important stuff with characters that we already know.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think like Reverie, like maybe this would have been fun 5 years ago, but I think that just not seeing this till now is kind of just made reading this more rewarding. I think, I don't know, it's like I don't think the line distance makes the heart grow fonder here, but I don't feel cheapened or anything. I kind of like that. I this kind of feels bigger because we I think what I'm saying is, I think if all this happened before Wano, it wouldn't seem like such a big deal.
It would have taken the piss out of Wano.
It would have,
yeah.
And I think the thing is, we had to get through Wano. We had to have 2 of the 4 emperors toppled, and
Yeah.
reveal how important Wano is to like the the Void Century, to now like where this finding out even more now about the Void Century, this feels even bigger. It's like, I don't know, it's like eating your dessert before your meal.
Yeah.
It's not gonna feel as good, and then it's gonna spoil the rest of your meal.
Well, either way, I think where we're headed right now, this is technically a flashback within the Kamabaka kingdom thing, where Sabo was telling Dragon and Eva what happened.
Right.
And I wonder if after that, like now, Sabo's mission seems to be to tell Luffy and Vivi this thing, and I don't know, maybe Dragon will say something like, well, I guess it's time for me to finally talk to my son.
Guess I gotta pick up the phone.
Yeah, I guess I actually gotta do this now. Thanks, Sabo, you jack off.
And just to add one more thing to say, I don't know, it's I'm trying to articulate how to say this, but like it's it kind of makes a piece of literature a little more interesting when you kind of jump around in time instead of just telling everything chronologically.
Yeah,
I think some things in hindsight, I think this is back to what's in it's like, I think knowing what we know now, this stuff feels even more important, especially now with like the reveal of like Luffy with the Nika, Joy Boy stuff. It's like, I think there's even higher stakes now to everything happening in the Reverie.
Yeah. I think it's really cool that we're like the Gorosei, Jesus, the Five Elders' powers are kind of obscured, considering like, yeah, these are the ones that like the last ones that we really want to see now. That whatever Dragon's got, but
Yeah.
I
But
think
also, they also they also do the never aging thing as well.
yeah, I think Ken had it right on that we'll see Saturn's power sooner rather than later. Anyway, yeah, great chapter. And I gotta mention it, of course, again, that Walpol's amazing. I love him so much. He's a real bastard, but we love him anyway. He's our bastard. And ending on a joke is such a fucking great move for this chapter. So,
All right.
I think that like you were saying, having all of the like in any other circumstances, having all these chapters without the Straw Hats would be really hard to bear. But I feel like this is exactly how he can get away with it. Is like Wapol, Vivi, Shirahoshi, Cobra. All of these really old, like familiar and very beloved characters playing a part in a major way, like having big scenes. That definitely. It rounds out the chapter. It makes it a full experience, so it doesn't just feel like it's a bunch of muckety mucks doing something else somewhere else.
yeah. Besides, Vivi's a Straw Hat, so technically we've had a Straw Hat.
That's true.
Yes.
All right, Steve, you're up.
Okay, wow, what a tremendous chapter. I was just, it was enticing. I wanted to make sure I really took my time reading this and getting everything just right. Just really eerie, the conversation with Emu, and I like this reveal that that Vivi's ancestor bore the initial D as well, not the anime or the arcade game or the manga. You know what I mean. I think I'm like, okay, this. Every kind of stuff like, oh, everyone's a D at this point. It's clearly like, yeah, Alabasta was always gonna play a huge part in the grander scheme of things because, it had a very important poneglyph that Robin misread on purpose. That revealed the location of like the ancient weapons and stuff. So I think this is a good thing because we're finding out even more about. Like, I think, like, things that were revealed in this chapter about, those with the name D, I feel like it wasn't anything we already didn't kind of gathered, but it was nice confirmation. But now I'm just really curious about what Lily did all those years ago. It's going to be, a really fun flashback when we get there. The Five Elders are really creepy. Just very unsettling. This feels like I got very Father from Full Metal Alchemist vibes from this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure they're not actually goopy, black creatures here, but
Well, actually, the arrow thing reminded me of Pride from Full Metal Alchemist. Really,
yeah.
Right,
That's yeah.
right?
It is their month after all.
Yes.
So, but no, this was really cool, and just the fact that now like Wapol, a character that I think outside of weirdos like us, most of the fandom tends to not remember or like at all. But we have a soft spot for like, wow, what an amazing villain, because he was such a douchebag.
What a piece of shit.
But he's comical, so it's kind of like, of course he's going to be integrated more into this main plot because he was a real bastard, but he could also be a punching bag, and I think Oda has done that a lot with characters, and it's really. And it's Vivi and Wapol together again when as we talked about their history of Wapol just straight up striking her out of reverie. It's fascinating. It's the pairings we're getting with where people are ending up, like Vivi and Wapol on Big News Morgan's ship. It's just like I feel like names are being drawn out of a hat here. Not saying this isn't being written well. It's just like, wow, I never would have predicted this.
It's just funny to me, like Wapol's going to be like, I'm going to get a divorce because of you. Like, I don't even like you. It's like, my poor wife. Yes, I have to call my wife.
Call my wife and tell her I'm sorry. It's great. I don't think there's anything else I could really contribute to this conversation other than just some fascinating. Oh, I will say this. Do I like Sabo now? I think I like Sabo now. And it's just because, cool, Sabo has something interesting to do in the story now. And I think, and you know what? I got to tip my hat to Oda here, just like, because I'm like, oh, he's acting so dickish in the previous chapter, saying, like, whatever, as long as it gets gets the message across that Cobra's dead. But now I realize, I'm like, oh, he was being kind of, a little bit of a tsundere here. Now that, like, Sabo is, like, tasked with something very important that's tied to two major characters here, I'm more interested in him now, I will say. And I just realized now, because I forgot to ask earlier, because last we saw Vivi, she was chewing out Lucci, right?
Yes.
I'm curious about what has happened between then, because
I just assumed that the elders had them seize her because of what was going on. Mm-hmm. But
because Lucci is absent here.
Yeah.
So because I'm like this.
Maybe as soon as Cobra went in to talk to the elders, they had them take her.
Yeah, and maybe unbeknownst to Lucci, because he's absent. I'm really curious what's going through his head, especially when we're knowing how he was acting when they were heading to Egghead. Man, I'm telling you, don't give Lucci that steel chair. He's gonna turn on you. Really great chapter. Worth the wait. Great read. I can't wait for next week.
All right. So the one thing that I wanted to focus on, because you guys have pretty much discussed everything else already, is the sort of implied relationship between Emu and Lily of taking. I don't know. It feels like Emu took Lily's betrayal extremely personally, and is, what exactly was Queen Lily's great mistake? Was it betraying the founding of the world government, spreading the poneglyphs, or what else that could be? But the way Emu cuts off Cobra when he says, "It must be a coincidence among the first 20," and just says, "Don't even start with that line of questioning. I'm not gonna. You're not gonna find out that part." So I don't know. It provides an intrigue into Emu's background and who that could possibly be. As we said last episode or 2 episodes ago, presumably somebody who had the life operation from the up fruit.
Yeah, it definitely is designed to make you assume. I mean, that interaction you just mentioned, it is definitely set up to make you wonder if Emu is one of the first 20 then, and that's how they would have known Lily personally.
Right. But yeah, that was the one thing that I wanted to focus on. I just love how how Oda ended the chapter on a gag, because we had this intense conversation with Cobra's death, and Sabo taking the mantle up after that, but then we get like Khalifa and Jabra chilling with Vivi and sort of taunting her in the side room of like, not you're gonna be someone's pet, and then Guapo comes crashing through the walls and steals her in his mouth, and now he's getting a divorce. So yeah, I don't really have much else to add. I just feel like I've been chiming in throughout here, but yeah, I just wanted to say really, really great chapter, and I appreciate the way the story is going. It really makes us feel like we're progressing towards the end game of One Piece, and I feel like what we're going to go back to at Egghead after this, and will Sabo show up there? You never know. Could happen. But yeah, that's all I've got. Anybody have any final thoughts on the chapter?
Just to piggyback off you for a second, Ed. I was actually going back to the Reverie arc when we got all this information the first time, and I noticed that when we saw Emu the first time, they were carrying around all the different like photos and whatnot, and we saw that Emu destroyed the photo of Shirahoshi, Luffy, and Blackbeard, but kept the photo of Vivi as they climbed to the top of the stairs and summoned the five elders when they asked if they wanted which light to extinguish next in the world. So it seems that Emu already had at least some notion that Lily or the Nefeltari family in general was up to something, if that was the one photo that they kept with them up until until they got to the throne room.
Sure.
And if all the theories that Vivi is a spitting image of Lily, like because it's her great ancestor or descendant, then I think that Emu could have known, maybe not known, but like had a very strong feeling all along that Lily's scattering of the poneglyphs wasn't a mistake and was just waiting for that one little piece of information to confirm it. So when you said that Emu took it very personally, I think that it was it's been eating away at Emu for 800 years. Like, I think something happened there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we wanted to talk about more about Lily's mistake and the scattering of the poneglyphs, because I mean this is all happening, of course, in Pangaea Castle, named after the continent of Earth, where all of the continents were one single landmass, and that's obviously been a kind of recurring motif in the in the One Piece theory world.
And people talk about people relating this to Zunisha. Like, Zunisha is betrayed somebody and is sentenced basically to walk through the ocean forever. Wonder if maybe, I don't know, was that related to this? You don't know. Right. Yeah, between that and the continent puller, the legends like that. Yeah, you could definitely see, okay, so does that mean that Lily was in... It's like, was there some control room with a big red switch that says, break the continent apart and create the Grand Line, and she quote unquote accidentally pressed it one day? Is that set all of this stuff into motion? Something I've been saying that for years. I've been saying that for a decade.
But it's really interesting to get some initial hints. I feel like that yes, that was a specific event or a choice, I guess, to have done that. And it also,
sorry.
No, I was gonna say it also suggests, since the poneglyphs were, I guess, originally in one place, does that mean they were together in one landmass and they all just kind of split apart that way? Or did she, was part of her mistake, literally ordering them to be taken elsewhere as well? Because I don't think we'd ever heard necessarily that they were initially in the same place, which is very curious.
Well, they all came from Wano, right? That's where the poneglyphs were made.
Yeah, really? I mean that's where they carved the stone, the special stone, and they did whatever their tamper-proof finishing process to carve them. But yeah, I don't know.
I guess we just don't know what the original purpose of the poneglyphs were, because we know what they are in the present day. We're collecting the 4 road poneglyphs to reach Laugh Tale and whatnot. But why? Like, was it? Did they hide? Is the One Piece related to something that the world government's trying to hide? Like, all right, we can't go back to Laugh Tale, but let's write down the instructions in these 4 poneglyphs in case we have to. And then, we lost the instructions.
I'm not sure that. I don't know if the One Piece has anything. Well, I don't know. The road poneglyphs lead to Laugh Tale, so I guess that's. Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder if it has to do with the Lost Kingdom, possibly.
Yeah, they were like the Georgia Guidestones, where it was a message for the future or something. I mean, we know that there's a lot of history on the stone, at least on the kind of quote unquote regular poneglyphs,
and the Rio poneglyph as well.
Yeah, and on the Rio, and so you could see it as like, well, maybe they were created to be like a monument to this period of history, whatever this, prior to the Void Century, or like prior to the conflicts that arose between the world government and the ancient kingdom. And so maybe they included some secret message. That's all the Rio poneglyph stuff, and then scattering them ensured that they would last, or they would survive unbeknownst to the world, or not unbeknownst, but like out of the reach of the world government in certain ways.
Maybe they were arranged in some Stonehenge-like arrangement initially, before they were all scattered. We don't know.
Yeah.
And like with the scattering, because like we assume all the poneglyphs landed on either an island or a landmass where they are obtainable. Like we have seen some at the bottom of the ocean. Like, was it literally a random scattering? Like, is it like
the Dragon Balls?
Exactly. They shot into the sky and went all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we move on to the next segment?
Let's.
All right, let's do it after these messages. This is the Piece Together segment where we take your questions, comments, your theories, and tell you that we saw everything. We're going to start out. Our first segment on the Piece Together is, of course, This Piece. Alex?
Hey, everybody. Yeah, thanks for writing paragraphs. Nothing but paragraphs this week on This Piece. It really makes this job so easy.
Well, people want to talk about it this week, Alex. It's Oda's fault. It's Oda's fault, really.
Great. Well, thanks, Oda. Thanks, Odama. If Foxy can do it, so can you, Can says. Ahoy, OPP. Luffy gets sidetracked by food a lot. How has his enemies not figured that's the easiest way to beat him? Set trap, layout, banquet, hide and wait for him to show, spring trap, job done. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. If Foxy can do it, anyone can do it. It's a lot easier and cheaper than sending an admiral and a whole fleet of warships after him and beating them all up, ships and all.
Well, all the villains in One Piece are dumber than Elmer Fudd.
Yes, and none of them read the manga. Big Mike says, hey, OPP, I'm starting the Hime Danshi Rebellion on the Piece Together segment to prevent the Fujoshi-fication of the podcast during Pride Month with my questions. At the end of the series, when Nami decides to settle down, move to Amazon Lily, adopt a few kids, and start a tangerine farm, what kind of lunches does she pack for her wife Tashigi to eat at work? P.S. The Japanese word for lily is yuri, which is why they live on Amazon Lily.
Ah.
Is that true, Stephen?
How about that?
Yes, that is true. I never considered the implications of the the private lives of the people on Amazon Lily when Oda named it that, but that is kind of funny.
Wait, so Vivi's ancestor is Queen Yuri?
Wow.
Well, if you translate the flower, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, the government really wanted her head after she sent all that girl love fan fiction across the world.
Lily D.
I mean, Robin did mistranslate that poneglyph. Maybe that's just it was all that was written on there was just Yuri fan fiction.
She just didn't understand the innuendo.
And Crocodile's just like, the boys. What about the boys?
Anyway, what kind of lunches does she pack for Tashigi?
Oh man,
just oranges.
Something orangey.
Yeah. I don't think Nami cooks.
Yeah, she does. She just can't afford it.
She puts money in the lunch boxes. Buy your food at school.
Oh yeah, it gives her lunch money.
Yep.
That's good. But Buggy D. Crom says, "Hi OPP. Say the line, Crom. Banger chapter as always. Love that the funny 20-year-old Munch man. Oh, he is 29. Fuck. Oh, God, he's so
Or is he
old
31
looking.
now?
I guess he is 31 now. Yeah.
Or-
Waffle is 31.
Yeah, I don't know if that's pre or post time skip, but
No, he was 29, I think, pre-time skip. So,
okay.
Fun.
Yeah.
All right.
So I remember
well,
when we found that out, I think like Zach and I kind of died a little inside.
yeah, me too. Cram says, "I love that the funny 29-year-old Munch man is one of the most important characters in the series now. What was going on with the transformations with the old fellas? Wrong answers only, of course. My wrong answer is Emu is Karasu, and they're made of soot. Have a grand week."
They're all Pride from Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
All goopy and shadows.
It's they're actually just residual ink left over from Kubo Tite's run on Bleach.
Yeah, they're doing Splatfest right now, so
They're all about to jump back into an inkwell like this is a 1920s cartoon.
yeah.
Nami Vivi Truther says, hello, true believers, fellow true believers." He says, "Wow, Burger Ham Lincoln got another appearance. You know, after all that tomfoolery, malarkey even, at the Reverie, I sure hope he went home and had a nice relaxing time. Maybe he went to see a play. I can picture it now. Wait, is that an escaped Doflamingo right behind him? Wielding his infamous and deadly gun? Oh no, Mr. Burger Ham, watch out. Anywho, can you think of what the Revolutionary Army's division leaders' drag names would be?"
I don't know. I don't watch Drag Race. I'm not good at drag names.
I mean, well, Ed, the world of drag exists beyond the WWE.
Sure,
drag.
I think Karasu's would be pretty easy. It'd be like something like Crow's Nest or
No, it's got to be more fun and sexy. Than
Raven
that,
Crowmore.
There you go.
Bello Betty's already kind of a
Yeah,
drag
Bella
name.
Betty's a very
Yeah.
drag name.
Yeah. Oh no, wait, Karasu's would be Snatch So Raven.
Oh my god!
Yeah, you just gotta give me a second.
I don't know if I could beat that. I don't know. Like Monkey D. Dragon has drag in his name. So make that what you will. I don't know. Monkey D. Drag Queen. I don't know. That's simple. That's a 4Kids episode title.
I can't beat
Can
that.
we call the episode "Snatch So Raven"?
I wrote it down, even if we already decided the name.
We could do that. King Doji says, "Hi OPP, insane chapter this week. Credit to Bartolomeo for this idea. I thought it was very cool, so I had to ask. How, if at all, do you think Lily's mistake is connected to Zunisha's crime and Joy Boy's broken promise?" That wasn't in quotes. I just wanted to say it like that. Also, side note, the Four-Nation Alliance in North Blue is probably a reference to the four nations that Judge conquered in his attempt to make Germa great again.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Cool.
I don't know. Like this, I forget. Is Judge? Is he on the outs with the Kings? Like he's not.
He is.
Yeah.
They got banned from the Reverie.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Then that would make sense. Yes.
On account of him being a doucher.
Yeah.
I love Momocon because of Steve Yurko says, "Hi OPP, I had a great time meeting Steve, Vero, and so many members of the OPP crew at Momocon. My question is, what kind of con goer would each of the Straw Hats be?"
Oh, con goer.
Well,
okay.
I just want to say Congoer. Yeah.
Congoer.
Not Congoer.
Okay.
Congoer.
We call the fans of the hit film Congo.
They love Herkimer Homolka a lot. They
love sesame cake.
They love sesame cake.
Tickle, Amy, tickle.
Stop eating my sesame cake.
Anyway, yeah, it was really nice meeting you. I had a lot of people recognizing me. It was jarring, especially when I was with my crew, my posse. Anyway, the kind of con-goers.
Sanji would be cosplay photographer. Zoro is guy without shirt who just walks around.
No, Sanji wouldn't be. Sanji would be cosplay photographer, but not like the professional one.
No,
Just be
no.
like, can I get a picture?
I mean, honestly, this is a really easy question to answer because Oda revealed that all of them are very smelly. So all of them would be very smelly congoers.
Nami's cosplay for sure.
Nami's cosplay. Robin.
She's probably doing panels. She's got her own panel.
Is she on
Yeah.
Artist Alley?
Usopp's an artist alley.
Usopp is artist alley.
Oh,
Usopp is
Usopp,
And
yeah,
Frankie.
for sure.
And Frankie, too.
No, Frankie is Gunpla contest.
Yes, yeah. I would say Robin would be a panelist.
Oh, there
Yeah,
you
she's
go.
definitely a panelist
Yeah.
or a volunteer.
Luffy's in line for the overpriced food.
Yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
Jinbei's a volunteer. Jinbei's totally
Yeah.
a volunteer.
Zoro never sees anything cool because he keeps getting lost. He doesn't know where panel rooms are.
Yeah.
Zoro's the one who's passed out drunk in the hotel room. Like he's
doesn't-
sleeping it off.
You would never
Chopper's
pass out.
Chopper's the minor. Like Chopper's the little kid.
Chopper comes in
Going to his first
on Kids Day on Sunday.
Brooks at the raves, the concerts.
Yeah, Brooke goes to the rave. Brooke goes to like the concerts and stuff.
Yeah.
Brooke is like, I stayed out till 5, and I'm like, yeah, we know because you didn't shut the hell up when you came back in the room. That's Brooke.
Jinbei's the chaperone.
Yeah. Yeah. Brooke smells like Axe body spray.
Jinbei's con mom. No, I think Robin would be con mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, next one.
Moving along. Pythagoras says, "Hey OPP, I think one of the elders' transformations resembles the basilisk from Impel Down, and another's resembles the mountain god from Wano." Oh, that's
boar.
interesting.
Oh, the boar.
Yes.
Okay.
But most interesting to me is Saturn's transformation into what appears to be a devil. I can make out the horns and the tail looks particularly devil-like. In Japanese, the pronunciation of Saturn and Satan, or Satan, Satan,
Satan.
are very similar. What do you think? Do they all have their own mythical fruits, or are they all just silhouette/shadow spawns from Emu? Thanks, OPP.
I just want to say off the top, maybe I'm just too much of a quote reference factory, but asking if one of them was a devil, the first thing I heard was Ed from the One Piece English dub saying, "Is this the devil?"
I wondered if it was like a devil or a demon or something like that, or maybe a stag beetle.
They have devil tails?
Sure.
There was one, the one on top looked like the Kilroy doodle. Like the way his hands were gripped and his like nose was hanging down.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
The Kilroy know me.
Yeah. No, me. what
I'm
the fuck's a me?
Kilroy.
Kilroy.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of theories talking about like, oh, they're all different like mythological like deities or
Gods.
guardians. Like a basilisk
fact
would
that
make sense.
One of them, the fact that one of them looked like an elephant, makes me think like maybe there's a lot of
Ganesha.
Yeah, and
You're not Ganesha. Ganesha is wise.
Ganesha's kind.
That's what I was
Graceful.
Graceful.
graceful, yeah.
Thank you. I can't for the life of me because I know I think maybe it's something Greg has talked about in the past that I think like Eneru kind of also has some influences from Ganesha.
Yes.
And for the life of me, I can't find the shit post I made where I photoshopped Eneru and Luffy into that scene. I think it's definitely
It's possible, yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, I
Satan fruit.
But we definitely agree that those are all their own fruits and not Emu doing something to them.
I
right?
think so.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's just what Oda loves to do. It's like you got to have everybody have a fruit.
Yeah. Yeah. The Daisuke gory fruit.
I get that.
Eat it and you're just like.
You have a stomach ache all the time.
Hopkins Hat says, "Hey OPP, how it be? This chapter had me excited. I love it. But why did the most sacred room where some of the most important conversations happen have a small peephole in it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I laughed seeing Wapol's dumb, scared face, but did nobody think to patch up the hole? Is there a never-ending line of construction workers who keep accidentally seeing Emu on the throne, and the job just never gets done? I need a backstory for how the hole got there. Forget the D, what about the hole?
You know, this is a great reciting of dialogue from the movie Clerks between the characters Randall and Dante.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Randall, they had a peephole in a very secret room. I don't know, Dante.
Why would they have a peephole in a room where the most important person in the entire world is? It doesn't make any sense.
And then some contractor comes up and tells them how they always have to install peepholes into like every boardroom.
It's just two fucking nerds in the world of One Piece just having these conversations.
It's a glory hole. Reverse High Patch says, in this chapter, Emu uses the old-timey thee-thou pronouns when referring to both Cobra and Sabo. As I'm sure you all know, these terms used to be the informal singular version of you until English speakers got too fancy to use informal second-person pronouns, so it makes sense Emu would use degrading terms here, but I gotta ask, why he doesn't use the second-person singular participle didst when Mu says, where did thou come from? And why did they slip up and call Cobra you a couple times? Boy, I sure hope someone got fired for that blunder.
See you later.
Bear the flag of the dawn against the fucking world. Reverse D-I-D patch. Anyway, Steven covered...
I did talk about some of this. Yeah. I mean, I am aware of the relation of you and thou, which is that it's kind of weird because we think of thou being like fancy talk, right? Because it's Shakespearean. But yes, back in that era of English, you was the formal second person pronoun, and thou was the more basic informal version of it. So like you would use the word you to refer to like a lord or something, which is obviously the opposite way of how we have interpreted it or flipped it today. But that is literally just like, okay, I gotta do it in a way that it has the right level of fanciness and not too much, and also is a way that people will parse it the way that is properly meant to be parsed. So.
Yes.
There you go. There's my unfun answer to that very fun question.
When Emu was talking, I was thinking him referring to him as like the royal we, like, oh, it's Mu, like, oh, it's we command you, Cobra. That's how I took it originally the first time, but
yeah, I think I thought about that and then I abandoned that idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough. It's also like you want the Mu in there because it's clearly derived from Emu, so like the connection is very close, and so
yep.
Cranked at Pangea Castle. Moo! Ken of Red Lions, the other Ken, says, I have a question for Steven. Listen up, Steven. The Elder's growling is covering up some of the letter that Cobra is reciting, but since Japanese is oriented differently than English in text bubbles, how much of the original text was actually obscured?
Yeah, I think I did cover that, yeah, but just to repeat it, it pretty much was just the word, there's some verb or something that is describing the world, and that was the part of the sentence that was covered up. Pretty much everything else, I think, is legible. And so, that there's something about the world, something that illustrates Lily's relation to what is going on in the world. And so it's probably a bad thing, but we'll find out, I'm sure, at some point.
Yeah. Sheepman says, howdy OPP, nice to see Emu keeps up with pop culture and inspired his attack based on Kraglin from Guardians of the Galaxy by controlling a literal arrow. I haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3 yet, Sheepman, so no spoilies. Anyway,
wasn't that the blue guy from
No,
2?
that's Yondu. I guess
yeah, that's right.
it's the guy.
He gets his arrow at the end of 2, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sean Gunn.
Yeah, Kraglin is the
other
James
Avenger.
Gunn brother, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
What was the question again? Sorry, I was on mute. So that's
controlling a literal arrow.
Yeah, I haven't said the actual question yet.
I think it's a tail.
It's probably a tail. Anyways, I'm guessing the report of Charlos's attempted murder at the hands of Sai and Leo who proclaimed they're Luffy's followers was one of the news headlines that Robin mentioned to Luffy that he didn't care to hear about before they got to Egghead.
No.
Yeah, there you go.
Any thoughts on how Luffy will react to the news of the fleet members' actions thus far?
Cool.
You know, I'm sure he'll be very concerned and say
Give
shame
him a
on
talking
them.
to, yeah.
Yeah.
Who?
Oh, those guys.
Oh, those guys would definitely be something he would say.
Yeah. We didn't.
I
Oh, sorry. Go, Steve.
no. Finish. I have just something I want to add after we're done with this question.
I was going to say that I didn't mention it during the chapter, but yeah, that little bit about Sai and Leo, like basically name dropping Luffy after they did that to me settled that, like, oh, this is the thing that they did that, you know, caused an uproar, because obviously, like, that's this is like the Celestial Dragons 9/11. Like, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to them. Is that pirates came in and beat up one of the attempted to kill one of the Celestial Dragons. So I do feel like that is going to be a way bigger deal than it might have seemed like at first. And that definitely that sealed it for me. That's what that is.
Devil fruit powers can't melt steel hooves.
God.
Oh my god.
It was an inside job.
Sorry, the Moo stuff got brought up again. Quick question. Should the episode be called Take Me With Moo?
Ooh, I like that. Why not?
But yeah, it's like a little
she's
bit of
going
our
away.
own thing.
Yeah. Take me with me.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Sure.
Alex is the only one that said yes.
Yeah, I like it. Yep. Sorry.
Okay, cool.
Go with it. AZ fan says, I don't usually mind Oda hiding things behind silhouette, but now I'm actually confused whether or not the elders transformed into Zoans or if they had turned into weird emu shadow blob monsters. The latter is my first impression, and I'm probably wrong about that. What are the true forms that lie beyond the shadows? Wacky answers only. Well, I think they're all Fleischer-era cartoons.
I think we've already answered this question.
We have, yeah.
Inflatable, wacky, waving.
Arm flailing two men.
They all look like the dancing ghost from that Betty Boop cartoon. Sabo's escaping after him. This doesn't work on a podcast.
No.
It does not. It looks hilarious on this side, though.
Professional Poyo, this is our last diss piece, says, howdy OPP, with Emu definitely having a shadow-related ability. I like how this is gearing up with Luffy, embodiment of light, eventually fighting the empowerment of darkness. No offense, Teach. Anyways, do we think the shadows we saw at the end of Thriller Bark have any correlations with shadow monsters seen here?
No.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a bit of a stretch.
I think these shadow monsters, like we talked about this, I think they're just obscure devil fruit powers because Oda doesn't want to reveal these quite yet.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a little tease.
He wanted to turn it into a nightmare sequence, basically.
And it was great.
It was awesome.
That one panel of Sabo running with like all of them behind him is a really good like nightmare shot.
Emu is above all of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I really love is was I didn't say this during the manga recap, but I love that we see Emu pissed off. We see, we've only seen a sort of calm and collected Emu at this point. So.
All right, Steven, we go to the subreddit archipelago.
Yeah, let's get some answers here. Izanagi says, "Hi OPP, great chapter. Something that has always bothered me and is never questioned is why did the Nefertari, who are supposed to be portrayed as the good guys, part of the 20 kingdoms that got together to defeat the Ancient Kingdom? Seems like hypocrisy to be part of an alliance that contributed to the Ancient Kingdom's downfall and then be like, nah, I don't want to be a celestial dragon. Thoughts?"
Could be. It's more complicated than we thought. I mean,
I believe that is going to be the case. But we did kind of talk about the possibility that they were like sleeper agents or something. There was something going on there. But yeah, I'm curious to see if when all is said and done and we kind of figure out more about what the original conflict was, if the role or the placement of the Nefertari and the Nefeltaris like makes sense from every angle, or whether that was kind of something that Oda developed over time and kind of ran with it after that point. I don't know. QuipQuest says, Sup OPP, I know you're probably going to scoff at the idea as I bring it up, and this might be the Berserk fan in me talking, but these guys don't feel like devil fruit users. I think they might just be actual demons. Also, as far as the end up as somebody's pet line goes, that's rich, coming from someone whose recurring gag is sexual harassment. That'd be Khalifa. Any thoughts?
They're not into pet play.
They skipped that filler arc.
Yeah. God.
I like how that's like most of the people I know. If you use the words pet play, everyone's immediately like, "Oh yeah, that filler was terrible," and never the actual concept of it, the real life concept of it. Except when Jammer, who was on a few years ago, who had no idea what that was. I think until that great moment. Look it up.
Yeah, read a book.
What was the question? If they were actual demons or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Brian also, our very own Brian on Twitter posted that they reminded him of the God Hand.
Nice.
I wouldn't rule it out completely just because I think it seems like Oda kind of always avoided that stuff, and I know this is a movie, so maybe this is another reason why it still might be off the table because if you haven't seen Film Red by now, I don't know what to tell you, but like Tot Musica is a demon, and I thought that was like a bold choice considering Oda himself has never done any like demons and stuff in the canon.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it's off the table.
Hasn't the underworld been mentioned before as canon in the manga, or am I just making that up?
I think you're just talking. You think about like the black market underworld.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of. Never mind.
Yeah. Pushover Media Critic says, what a wild chapter. My theory about Emu is that she is a woman and her devil fruit is Tiamat, the queen of celestial dragons.
Okay.
Well, why not Khaleesi? That's a queen of dragons. Oda's seen Game of Thrones. Dougal Bonkers of OPP says, hey OPP, if you had to be saved by either Wapple or Caribou, which one would you prefer?
Oh, wow.
Wapple.
Yeah, I would get less dirty. Like not covered in swamp.
I don't know. I mean, that was a pretty... obviously, Vivi didn't have many better options, but that's a pretty bold move to throw yourself into the mouth of a guy who's chewing extremely powerfully.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That last line that Wapple did, she'd been like, "I'll go run as far as I can," as she's sitting in his mouth.
I mean, chewing noises, creepy swamp guy. Chewing noises, creepy swamp guy. I'll stick with Wapple.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. Prince of Assassins says, hey OPP, so I know looking back a ton of Dressrosa hints to endgame stuff, but the scene with Emu asking Cobra to tell him Queen Lily's full name really struck me as similar to Dofi and his strong suspicions about Corazon. He had them for quite a while, but didn't want to believe it before he got full proof. Here it seems Emu deep down knows the answer, but is nonetheless very upset to have it confirmed. Some have guessed this is because Emu loved her, but she fancied Joy Boy instead. Could 800 years of censorship, tyranny, and violence all be because of one very powerful incel?
Oh, wow.
So we're saying that Emu got cucked? Is that what started the world going?
It's not cucking if they were never yours to begin with.
Yeah, I was going to say that implies a certain level at the start, but yeah, I mean that's definitely jokes aside, that is definitely an angle that I have considered. I think we talked about that. Go ahead.
Sorry, it's like I wouldn't put past Oda kind of adding some sort of comedic I don't know if this is asked and meant to be taken kind of comedically, but I could it's One Piece, never roll out a punchline or something. So but we talked about this today too, and the more I hear about this connection, I feel like could very well be like Emu was fond of Lily, you know, and maybe Emu still wants Vivi alive because they see Lily in them, and
Right.
and Emu could be like, "How about it, Lily? Will you marry me again?"
Cut to the Sultan from Aladdin, but you're so old.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I do feel like having that level of a personal angle to it does help explain a lot. It could potentially explain a lot of the sort of seeming obsession that exists on Emu's part.
It also goes back to we don't know what happened to Lily. I'm assuming Lily was killed for her mistake, kind of thing.
Yeah, probably.
But if Emu did not realize, like if it was a mistake and they couldn't let her, like, listen, you made a mistake, we're killing you anyway, kind of thing. I think it's a bigger portrayal if it wasn't a mistake now, but they were still forced to kill Lily anyway. Like, there's something more there. I'm just not sure where it's going right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's other theories too that like, maybe Lily was the one who had the op fruit and performed the hypothetical immortality operation on Emu, and so maybe there's some lingering like sort of eternal connection between them or something that Emu became so obsessed. Lots of potential angles. Electric Dynamite says, "Hey OPP, we just finished a very Zoan focused arc in Wano. What are your hopes for the silhouetted Elder's Devil Fruit abilities, if not Zoan? I'm thinking of how Khalifa uses her soap to make a sheep shape, or Magellan made a hydra out of poison."
Knives.
Knives.
I've kind of had enough of these questions.
Okay.
Those are the ones about the elders and their powers.
Yeah, I think we've probably run out of ideas.
No one's ever asked about how we're doing.
Well, here, let's go to this one from 23 Years Virgin, who says, "Hey OPP, happy 14 years of podcasting. I look forward to another 14 years of great content."
I mean, maybe.
Zach is screaming from Europe.
Like Charlie Brown. Arg!
The other day, I was listening to the episode where you guys were talking about Emu's type of persona or quirk, and it made me think of a question. What kind of quirk? I don't know. Okay, so what kind of quirk do you think Emu will have? For me, it would be being an immortal individual, but as the years go by, you get older. So we are talking about Emu being a mummy of more than 800 years. Cheers and keep up the good work.
I thought by quirk they meant like what's their funny One Piece gimmick?
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say too. I was like, I almost think, I mean, Oda could prove me wrong, but I almost feel like Emu is the one character you probably shouldn't do that with. Just because
you could also do it eventually, I
like butterflies. We can always see him playing in the butterfly room. That's funny, right?
Nobody ever suspects the butterfly.
I could kind of see Emu kind of being like overly sensitive and just
don't touch my flowers. Don't touch my butterflies.
No, just something kind of just like just I don't proposing marriage to Vivi. It's like, marry me, and Vivi's like, no. It's like, oh, why not? You're mean.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if Oda wants to have Emu be like the ultimate symbol of everything that's wrong going on, I just feel like that's a real dangerous game to play, is like making that too goofy. Yeah. Let's see. I'm just gonna do let's do one more here from the Gazer01, who says, a bio PP. There we go. Last question. A bio PP. I always knew my ship of Vivi and Wapol would come true. Ever since that flashback at Drum Island, they were destined to be together, and now 23 years later, they're finally together. On another note, it's crazy how Wapol was able to rescue someone from being captured by CP0 in just a few panels. Meanwhile, the Straw Hats took a whole story arc to rescue someone from CP9. Just goes to show how Wapol is really a cut above the rest.
Yeah, see, when Luffy ran through a wall, he got his ass beat. But Wapol gets results. Also, their heavy hitters, Lucci and Kaku, were not there. It was the shelf warmers were in that room.
Yeah. I don't know. Wapol's he's climbing up on the power rankings now. He's really got to do some readjustment.
Man, hold on. Let me check twitter.com and see how the power scaling debates are going with Wapol right now.
That's it for Reddit.
All right, one more segment to go, and that is, of course, Piece the Tweet. Yeah. It's Piece the Tweet time. Yes, first one comes from Arthur Teixeira, who says, with all the reveal and discussion about the Will of D happening in the Reverie, it'd be cool to see the first person to say something about it in the story be part of the flashback. Dr. Kureha knows about the Will of D, and coincidentally is also in Mary Joa with Dalton.
Weird that we haven't seen much of them.
Yeah.
Lately.
Well, everyone's back home, right? I think that because we saw like Shirahoshi back in the kingdom with Garp, and like everyone left the Reverie already.
I'm talking about
they're talking about
the context of these chapters.
Within the context of the flashback
gotcha.
still going on, yeah.
Gotcha.
So at that point, because the meeting is still going on in the chamber there, could happen still.
Yeah.
Right, next one comes from Emil Nordpol, who says, do you think it will actually be Luffy who fights against Emu? I would not be surprised if it was the revolutionaries that confront Emu in the end. Well, that has to do with the whole Joy Boy thing. If Luffy is Joy Boy, it kind of makes sense for him to confront Emu.
Yeah. That's a good question, though. I hadn't really considered that might be the ultimate confrontation there. But, You also run the risk of like really turning Sabo into kind of like the second protagonist then, which is generally something that Oda avoids doing.
Well, I guess I was thinking more Dragon than Sabo, but I see what you mean.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I mean, Sabo's the face. He's the guy who does all the stuff.
Dragon is the D.
Yeah.
All right, next one comes from Zero Mistress Page, who says, more female Ds make me so happy. Also, Mu is a literal void. What are they? We don't know. We'll see.
Indeed.
Yeah. What indeed. And Gabe Ruiz 9 writes in to say, OPP, it seems Cobra hinted Emu was one of the original 20 nobles. Does this confirm immortal surgery was done on them? If so, can Emu even be killed? I mean, we've said that a lot about the immortality surgery, but can you still be killed after you've received that surgery? That is interesting to me.
Yeah, well, no, it's because it is an anti-aging immortality. So in other words, if you have received it, you presumably would not die of deterioration. But it's not immortality in the sense of invulnerability. It's just your lifespan is infinite, but you can still be killed. Like
the knight at the end of Last Crusade.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah. All right, and finally, our very own Brian writes in to say, is Wapol going to fail his way upward to the top of the world, the same way Buggy has failed his way to the top of piracy? We report, you decide. This is big news. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Wapol, man. Just him sitting on the throne at the end of One Piece.
Oh, God.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Bad ending.
Yeah, that's all I got. That was the last one. It's a good thing. It's lucky for Brian we went on so long. He tweeted this like 15 minutes ago.
Oh, my God.
All right. Yeah, that's it. Does anybody have any final comments before we round off the show?
Let's go.
All right. Let's do it. This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 772 for the week of Monday, June 5th, 2023. And I'd like to thank our friends for coming on this week. We had a manga recap of 1085 and possibly an anime recap for 1063 and 1064. But I want to thank everyone for coming on this week. First of all, Steven, where can the good people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Translatosaurus.
Fantastic. And Ken, where can the good people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at KindKing01 or on Twitch at KindKing01. Same name, both places.
You notice I say the good people can find you, the bad people can fuck off.
Ed the gatekeeper.
Yeah. All right. It's up to you to decide whether to be bad or good.
It's not gatekeeping when you kick out rude people.
But anyway, we got the Anime Expo dub episode 1000 coming out. I think it's July 2nd that's going on in Los Angeles. So if you're there, you can check that out. I just want to mention that one more time. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else anyone wants to mention before we end the show here?
Well, shouldn't Alex and I do our?
No,
plugs?
I was gonna they're gonna do you guys next.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay. Yeah. Just making sure.
yeah. So Alex, where can people find you? Anything to promote?
Find me on Twitter at dude exclamation.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, Steve.
SteveYurko.com, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Steve Yurko. Despite it's been a very busy time for me. I haven't been too active, but if you said hi to me at MomoCon, you listen to the show, I really appreciate that. My next convention will be Anime Expo, where I will be tabling. Somehow, some way, I will be. But also, this past week was the debut of season 2 of ProZD Plays Games, our friend Sungwon's Let's Play channel, where I am now the brand new co-host of that.
Yeah.
And
Way to go, Steve.
we're starting. Thank you very much. It's the reception so far has been very welcoming. It seems like people are enjoying it. And our first game together is a very Steve game. It's Sonic Adventure 2 Battle for the Nintendo GameCube. If you haven't checked it out already, please check it out. Check out the channel in general. Subscribe, hit that like button.
Make a save
Don't
file.
buy a t-shirt because you make a save.
He was very
That's a good
confused by that game.
and he will be.
All right. For Zach, you can find Zach on Twitter at Zach_Logan. I'm Edward E. One Piece. I'm also at Weeb Trailers. Check out our streams from the Monty Media stream. I think it's twitch.tv/One Piece Podcast if I'm not wrong there. All right. And but in general, the podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com, the new and improved OnePiecePodcast.com. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. OnePiecePodcast at Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Instagram.com/OnePiecePodcast. You can subscribe on Patreon. Please support us, patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. You can subscribe on SoundCloud, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio. You can subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts, or call us on our phone number. That's 347-497-MAJI.
Maji.
347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Anytime.
Tim.
Fantastic. So that's it for the One Piece podcast this week. We'll be back next week with a manga recap of chapter 1086, and we'll see everyone. So for the One Piece podcast, my name is Ed.
My name is Steve.
My name is Alex.
And we'll see you next week, everybody. Bye-bye. We don't have to wait 5 years for the next one, or however long.
No, next March. But it is a beautiful fucking movie.
Next March or this March?
Next March. But what?
March.
This March was 3 months ago.
Yeah. Ken,
this upcoming March.
Ken, look at your calendar.
No, I always because if it's the next one, I always like if someone says next week, that's the week after next. So
Yeah,
next
but
March
Ken-
is the
but
March
Ken-
after next March.
But Ken, the next March is next March.
That's this March. Because
That is not this March, because this March happened already.
yeah, so you wouldn't call it. That'd be this
Ken,
past March.
Ken.
I will die on this hill.
Ken.
Oh.
March in the year of 2023, in the month of June, this March
If I ask someone,
is not March 2024.
if I ask someone when their wedding is, and they say March, then I know it's March of 2024.
They'll say that when it's
You can't have both
when
ways.
it's January.
No, because if they're saying January, that means their wedding's in March, and then it's in a couple months. If they said March and it was March,
Yeah, and that's what you say. This March.
Like, have a conversation with somebody in June, be like, yeah, my wedding is in January. Like, oh, in like 5 months? Like, no, you missed it, you fuck. Like 4
Yeah,
months
exactly.
ago.
No one would say that.
But no one would say. if someone said like, "Oh, when was your wedding?" "Oh, this March." "Oh my God, I missed it." No, as in like, what are we naming the fucking Friday sequels? It's Dan, are you getting all this?
Oh, Zoom is still recording. Yeah.
Great. I'm glad there's going to be audio proof that this conversation exists.
I'm not
Time
wrong
code
here.
this.
I'm not
Time
wrong
code-
here.
Ken, you are very wrong.
This is like when you ever read that bodybuilding.com forum thread about how many days are there in a week? Because you train twice a week, so you're trying to convince people that there's 8 days in a week.
Well, that's just wrong. I'm not convincing of more months. I'm just saying when the next month is.
Yes, next March.
As in this upcoming March.
Okay. All right. So what is this? Who is possessing this March?
What do you?
Who is the possessive party here in this adjective of this?
That's a good question.
It's the year. Ken, this March happened. It's gone. You missed it.
All right.